Hey everyone, thanks for listening to the FU Cancer podcast. Today we're joined by Lisandra Cruz, a registered dietitian nutritionist and Hodgkin's lymphoma survivor who recently underwent a bone marrow transplant as part of her treatment regimen. Going through cancer has transformed the way that Lisandra approaches client care and has reshaped the heart of her private practice. It taught her the importance of compassion, accessibility, and truly meeting patients where they are, considering their mind, body, and spirit. That's why she's built a private practice that accepts health insurance and provides supportive, individualized nutrition care services for people navigating life during and after cancer illness. She's also created her own podcast where she shares real conversations and an honest emotional truth about survivorship, really creating a space where others can feel seen, supported, and reminded that none of us walk this journey alone. Today, we're focusing on the words cancer-free and how that milestone isn't the end of a person's cancer journey. Rather, it's the beginning of a new chapter, one that's filled with both gratitude and uncertainty. Lucinda shares her story and sheds light on the emotional, physical, and nutritional challenges that often arise once treatment ends, and shares her insights on how we can all better support one another as we navigate through this new normal. Thanks for listening to the FU Cancer Podcast. My name is Christina Rollins. I'm a dietitian, mom, and wife to a pretty awesome cancer survivor. We said FU to cancer nearly 25 years ago and are still going strong. I'm excited to share the FU Cancer movement, where we are a community of survivors, fighters, caregivers, and advocates, connecting our shared experiences, passion, and determination to live a holistic and well-balanced life. Stay tuned, because we've got a lot to talk about. Well, Lisandra, thank you so much for joining us today. We're excited to have you on the FU Cancer podcast to talk about your cancer journey.
Thank you for having me, Christina.
So let's just start, I think, with the kind of basic question. If you could share a little bit about your personal cancer journey and what inspired you to become a dietitian.
So I'll answer the what inspired me to become a dietitian because that came before the cancer diagnosis. I went to school initially because I wanted to become a pediatrician. And I started through biology, but then through all the courses that I was thinking, I'm like, I really don't want to be studying until I am 30 something to start actually working. And one of my friends, she was under the same path, and then she just switched from campuses, and she's like, oh, I started studying nutrition. I'm like, what is that? And
Mhm.
she's like, well, we help people heal through food. And I'm like, interesting, because I never heard what it was a dietitian or nutritionist. And that's how I started getting interested in food science and how I can help people heal through adequate nutrition. And I'm like, this is awesome because I can still study and get what I want to do, that it's help people, not
Mhm.
necessarily kids, but it was a way of doing what I wanted, because back then I wanted to have a family in the near future. So I know that that aligned with my plans. And now my cancer journey started in 2023, specifically August 2023. I was diagnosed with Hodgkin lymphoma. Initially was stage 3, but then they restaged it later, which I found out later through the EPIC documents that they restaged it to stage 4.
Mhm.
But I got the diagnosis by accident because I was in a car accident and I was getting adjusted because I had some hernia in my back due to the accident, and one of the MRIs showed something on my chest.
Mhm.
And that they're like, you know what? Yes, there's something secondary to the accident, but there's something else that you have to get checked. And that happened in August 2023. I found a doctor, primary care physician, because I was a healthy individual before that. So the only doctor that I visited was an OB/GYN. And 2023, October 2023, that's when I find a primary care physician, and he was just trying to dismiss me as if I had a cold and a cough because it was constant cough. And I'm like, no, listen, I have this MRI results. It's not a cough. So he decided to do a chest x-ray, and there was a huge mass on my chest. And that's where all the running back and forth started, and all the biopsies inconclusive. They have to send it like to three different pathologies places. And then on December 23, 2023, right before Christmas, that's when they tell me, yeah, you have Hodgkin lymphoma stage 3, and we need to start treatment yesterday.
So if you wouldn't have had that car accident, who knows when you would have actually gotten your diagnosis?
I talked to a doctor and she said, if you just kept going and trying to dismiss and sugarcoat your symptoms, you would have dropped dead easily
Mhm.
because the mass was pushing all of my organs. It was pushing my heart, my esophagus, my trachea, my artery here, my vein. I think it's the aortic vein. And he's like, "Do you have any like fainting spells? Do you feel dizzy?" I'm like, "No." And they were like, "Well, probably you're not getting enough oxygen to your brain either." It was pushing my lungs. I had water in my lungs as well. Then I apparently I had a thymoma, which I didn't know what it was, but it's a mass inside my lungs, and there was cancer in that thymoma, but it was unrelated. And they're like, how can they coexist when those two things cannot coexist at the same time? I don't know. It was something, it was so overwhelming because I had like went through treatment and then it progressed, and it was a lot of things at once. And they're like, yep, if you would have not have had that car accident, you will not be alive.
So
And then through
looking,
all this,
well,
sorry.
I'll say looking back, do you think
Yeah.
there were maybe other symptoms that you maybe just wrote off? Like you said, you thought you had they thought you had a cold or things like that.
I had many symptoms that I sugarcoated or I just like band-aided over because I am a mom. So I take care of everyone else except me. And at the same time, there were a lot of COVID patients. I used to work in a hospital. So it was around the time that there were COVID and a lot of flu patients coming in, patients with flu symptoms. And there was always someone sick in the office. It was a small office with 9 other dietitians, and there was always someone sick. So I just attributed to probably I have COVID and I'm just having COVID symptoms. Um, I had the only two that I dismissed was the cough, and then it was the itchiness on my legs. Started on my legs. It was like this very intense, like hives itchiness, but you cannot see something. It was like something coming from the inside out, and then it progressed through my whole body. Later, I found out that it was when the cancer cells were breaking, they release a substance that's what it caused that symptom. But I just kept scratching and trying to do like eczema creams because I thought, well, maybe it's because I always tried to band-aid it. I'm like, well, I am in an office with air conditioning all day. My legs are dry. So, yeah, those were the two mainly. Then after that, I got laid off, which was a blessing in disguise, being let go. And then during that time, I started eating more at home, exercising more because I had the time at home. And then I started dropping weight super fast. But then I'm like, okay, but I'm doing all this dietary changes, I'm doing lifestyle changes, I'm not having the stress that I was having. And you know that extra stress can make people gain weight and maintain that weight gain. And I'm like, well, this is just part of what my new normal looked like, but it wasn't.
Well, you've mentioned that hearing the words "you're cancer free" was both a relief and a challenge at the same time. So, what did life after treatment look like for you?
It has been both physically and mentally challenged. Um, like I like you said on the intro, I am an auto bone marrow transplant. So that means that the process is killing my immune system and placing back my stem cells so my body can rebuild a new immune system. And it's getting used to this new body because my whole body changed from the inside out. So I have been, so before, and I didn't say this before when we initially spoke, but I have been cancer free since October 2024. The thing is that because the cancer progressed, it was never completely healed. The doctors were afraid that my immune system was not strong enough to just keep it away. Like if there's another cancer cell, it can come back easily. So that's when they decided to do the bone marrow transplant.
Mhm.
So even though I heard, and they no longer say you're remission or you're cancer free, they tell you now you are free or of disease. There's no sign on this of disease on the PET scan, and then when they give you but in my mind back then, I'm like, I know my body it's healed, but I still have to go through all of this. I have to go through the stem cell transplant. And then after the stem cell transplant, they're like, well, you know what? Just to make sure that we clean the table. Basically, that was the analogy that they told me. Let's make sure that we clean the table. You're going to get radiation.
Mhm.
So after that, it was June 2025. The doctor said, you know what? Your score is 0, so you have no cell of cancer. Now I can tell you you're cancer free. And I'm like, it was a sign of relief. But I then say, okay, so now what? And she's like, well, you just keep doing what you're doing. And I'm like, but is there any support for me? Like, how do I navigate? Because I get PTSD. Like, I can be okay. And then all of a sudden, I get scared because I feel a sign or a symptom that you felt in the past. For example, hot flashes. I didn't know that there were two types of hot flashes. There are menopausal hot flashes and then there are cancer hot flashes, which I thought it was perimenopause or menopause, but no, it was cancer. So because I was medically induced menopause for the transplant, I still have the hot flashes. So that like puts me in alert. Am I sweating profusely or not? So it's like, well, you have to go as you go try to get an OBYN, but then if you go to the OBYN to get the hormones checked, they don't know how to treat me because I am not the normal person going through menopause because my body it's still generating hormones. It's just weird. Um, so it's like having to navigate this on my own. It is so confusing and stressing at the same time having to try and to get back to whatever my new normal looks like because I have a family that I have to show up. I still have to show up to work. It's like life continues, you know. So it's a relief, but at the same time it's like now what?
Mhm.
Yeah.
So, how has your experience as a cancer survivor influenced how you practice nutrition today?
My empathy for my clients has changed completely. The way that I perceive the value of my
Mhm.
clients. And with this being said, it doesn't mean that my prior clients, I didn't value them. Is that in the past, my practice was completely out of pocket and I was reluctant to take insurance. So, me being a patient now from the other side, having access to healthcare, especially going through cancer treatment, it's a luxury
Mhm.
because it's very expensive. And then I'm thinking to myself, why am I doing this? Even when I'm struggling, I needed a dietitian, even though I'm a dietitian, but I needed a dietitian. And the ones that I wanted to work with, they didn't accept insurance. I'm like, how am I going to be able to afford this? if they don't take health insurance.
Mhm.
This should not be something that I have to save thousands of dollars to have a spot with you. This is my health. This is my life we're talking about. This is not just coaching. This is like, I need to know what I have to do in order to get myself better, strong to withstand what I went through, and then everything else that I have to go through survivorship, because it's still I have to prep my body.
Mhm.
And that's when I say, you know what? If people, if their insurance they don't cover services, then I have a pay rate, like a fee. But everyone should have access to it, and their health insurance covers it. They just don't know it because it's not advertised.
Mhm.
And also it's having the time that you have to sit down and really connect into a more personal level with the client, because there's always something else. And it's the approach. It just changed the approach. I focus a lot in motivational and interviewing, in behavior coaching, not just like, hey, this is your diet, this is the meal plan, here you go, apply it. It was more, there's more human connection with my practice now.
So many survivors talk about struggling to rebuild trust with their own bodies after they've gone through their cancer experience. So, what advice do you have for people who are trying to reconnect with their own health after cancer?
That it's very challenging. Um, I would say, and this is because I cannot tell you this because it's something I struggle with currently. My body, it's not physically, and it doesn't feel like it was before.
Mhm.
So I think the best advice is to be gentle with yourself, taking it one day at a time, because even though it changes physically, like the whole process changes you physically and the inside and out, mentally as well. Your body got you through all. It got strong. It got weak, yeah, because the whole process weakens you, but it still got you through it. So it's just trying to honor it. Maybe I do a lot of journaling, a lot of meditation. Um, if people believe in God, or if they believe in something, it's just having that faith in that, whatever they believe and they trust, being grateful, because we focus a lot on the negatives, but we forget that we're still here.
Mhm.
So practicing gratitude, and making time for yourself, exercising, sleeping, managing stress, that it's all important. And talking to yourself in the mirror every single morning, or having like, I have some stickers that I put on my shower that are words of affirmation that says you're beautiful, you're capable of everything. Because if you say to yourself, if you talk to yourself, at least that's how I feel, you eventually believe it, even though you know it's true, but you actually believe it.
Well, as dietitians, you and I both know how critically important good nutrition is during the recovery and maintenance process.
Yeah.
But what are some practical tips that survivors can take to really nourish their bodies as well as their mind, like you just, so very well articulated?
The first thing, it's because everybody's body, it's different. You should not try to do things by yourself. Try to get a dietitian. I mean, there's a lot of companies out there that they will pair you with a dietitian if you want to improve your health. Let's say if you want to gain weight, or if you want to improve your gut because you are suffering from side effects for chemo. Never try to do it by yourself. Always have that guidance of the nutrition expert. Never do supplements. That's a big thing. Like now that they tell you, oh, you're cancer free, now we're trying because we're afraid. We're coming from a place that we're afraid. We hear all this information on social media about trying this and this works and these supplements. Avoid over supplementing, because you can do more damage to your body that is just healing than doing something good. Exercise, not only, even if you're on fatigue, because some of the treatment can cause chronic fatigue for the rest of your life. And when you ask the doctor, how long is this going to last? They say, I don't know. It can be tomorrow, it can be never. So exercise, something as simple as walking, gets you, even though you feel tired, those 10 minutes within the walk are crucial. So they make you feel, okay, I got a burst of energy. You got to sleep. When you feel tired, honor your body and go in and have a nap or have a good night's sleep. Um, do showers, like shower steamers that smell, so that way you can relax a little bit. And take care of yourself. Like if the biggest lesson that I have, if your body tells you something, don't dismiss it. Don't auto-diagnose yourself. Don't go to Google. Google, it's a very dark place to go whenever you have something. Um, is just go to the doctor. Get your follow-ups. Never stop the follow-ups, because that's one of the things, and I think a lot of cancer survival can relate, is that maybe at some point they thought that's never going to happen to me until it did. So it's just like, hey, let's keep up on your medical checks, follow-ups, PET scans, MRI, CT scans, whatever the point of recovery you are at.
Mhm. So, at FU Cancer, we're working to build a digital community, but we know that community comes in many forms, right? So, how
Yes.
do you see the role of community in helping to bridge the gap between treatment and survivorship?
Community is important because people, when they reach out to a community, they know that they're not alone, even though it feels that you are, even
Mhm.
after hearing the words "you're cancer free." It's like, okay, so what do I do now? Even when you go to a doctor and you don't have answers, then you can go to a community and say, hey, is there someone that is experiencing such, and had a diagnosis of such as how, and then they can relate to someone and then maybe go from there, because other people might be further down the road in their recovery process and they already know what you're asking for. So that's like, I think, the best way of using a community, and also the support. It's having each other there. I mean, there's different things that can happen within a community, like gatherings or challenges or activities that all can come together, not necessarily just in a social media aspect.
Well, for dietitians and other healthcare providers listening to this episode, what's one thing that you wish professionals understood about the survivor experience?
That it is not a one size fit all, and that they should take the time to sit down with you and really listen. Listen to your concerns, to your symptoms, and then take the time that for them to take the time to do the research. Because in my case, because I am a bone marrow transplant patient, there is not a lot, at least on the state that I live, there are not a lot of programs, or if there are programs, they're still developing.
Mhm.
And the support, it's only when you're in the in the hospital, within an in-hospital setting. There's nothing outside those doors. So trying to not only focus on the patient as an inpatient, but hey, these are the resources that you have available. This is, I don't know if they can create a database, as an example, as a dietitian. If there is an oncology dietitian working with survivors, it's like, you know what, these are all the resources that you have within your area. And let's go through them. If you need assistance, I will help you. I can reach out to them. I know a lot of them. Depending on where they are at, they can be weak and they cannot cook. For example, myself, I had to be in isolation for 3 months. So I had to depend on people bringing me food, but the food that had to be brought has to be cooked in a certain way. So, okay, let's teach the ones that are going to be with you, how to feed you well. So it's more of an education aspect that I think that they should focus on as well.
Wonderful. Well, Lisandra, thank you so much for sharing your perspective and journey with us today. I'm
Thank
so
you.
glad that you're doing well. And I love that you're able to now share your knowledge with your patients and then your colleagues too, to make us all stronger together. So thank you so much for being here.
Thank you so much, Christina, for inviting me.
And listeners, be sure to check out our website, fucancer.health. We have a ton of educational resources available to our members, and we would love to have you join at any time. Until next time, I'm Christina Rollins. Thanks for listening.